Hello, it's me, Brian. This is one of those Homesteader 101 videos here for homesteaders that are stoners and stoners that are trying to be homesteaders. Anyways, today we're going to talk about the pump shed. Right? But before we go in, you understand, there's a couple of things I want you guys to understand. Right? If you're just first starting out, you know what I'm saying, and you got your good sized little piece of land and you got your, your primary, residence just sorted out and you're good, you know what I'm saying, you can make it a couple of winters in a row in that, in that little thing, you know what I'm saying, or you got an established ranch, it doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying, right? Your pump, your water, you know what I'm saying, is you drill a hole and you control that flow out of the earth, it's yours, it's free. It's a free resource, you know what I'm saying, that's clean, that's fresh, that's always cold, right? You know what I'm saying? And you can do a lot of things with that water. You know what I'm saying? You can grow, you can supply your residents, you know what I'm saying, with water for bathing and, cleaning and, washing your clothes and, keep, watering the flowers, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Plus, if you branch out from where your well is, you know what I'm saying, and you put up a couple of frost trees in strategic places here and there around your property, right, you always have a source of water at the point where you're at. Like if you want to put like Mr. Piggy's pen right here. Mr. Piggy's pen is like 35, 40 yards out from where, you know what I'm saying, the house and stuff is. But it's right across from the pump, right? But Mr. Piggy doesn't have a frost tree. The frost tree is a little farther in, halfway between Mr. Piggy and the house, where Mrs. Piggy's pen used to be right there. You understand? Because that line, you know what I'm saying, runs from here, you understand, over to there, and then from there it branches off into the house, into the other frost trees that are around the yard. Yes, a lot of effort went into building the water base for this property. Yes, it did. You know what I'm saying? And there's still room for a lot more expansion into the other 10 acres on this side, behind the pump shed. You know what I'm saying? And that whole piece over there could be anything from nothing with the organic water source of the environment, or we could pump water in it and we can make it anything. Hip camps, you know what I'm saying, travelers, right? You would put it, we could rent spaces to some of the miners over here in town that don't want to buy a house over in Sallyville, they just want to live in their camp trailer like those guys over there. You could do anything. The possibilities are endless with your property when you have the correct water system installed and you keep track of it and you maintain it. Makes logic sense, right, guys? Okay, here. This morning it's a little nipply. All right, here's another thing why you want to build this building. This is second only to your residence. This building is the single most important building on your property, right? Because yeah, the water comes out of the ground, it's going to flow upwards. You know what I'm saying? But and it's anything above the water line, right? At anything below 32 degrees, right, or 0 Celsius for all my European friends and over in England, right? You know what I'm saying? It's going to freeze. Right? You know what I'm saying? And you got to pump the water out. Unless you're one of those brave souls that's just going to dig a hole in the ground and go with an artesian well, stick a pipe in it and hope maybe that the pressure's enough flowing outward that it's going to get into your house. No, that doesn't work. You got to have a system like this. Right? You know what I'm saying? We're going to go inside, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to break it down for you guys and explain to you how it works, you know what I'm saying? And then we're going to walk around the yard, right? And we're going to show you, you know what I'm saying, where some of the frost trees are and why they're where they're at. So, hang on, right, you know what I'm saying? We're going to open the door right now. Yes, it's fairly insulated. Anyways, the pump, the well, this is the well. See right here, well. That's the well head, right? This pipe, you see it right here, right? It's a 12-inch, it's a 10-inch pipe, it's pounded into the ground about 180 feet or so, all the way down to the water table, right? And inside of it, right, is this long cylindrical metal pump, right, that pumps the water up. Yes, the flow comes up, the artesianing action of the well forces the water up, and if this cap wasn't on, it would flow out. And it probably filled this room in about 10 minutes, right? You know what I'm saying? But they capped the well so that they could keep the pressure of the well right there, and then they put a pump in, right, to pump it out, right? Right, it has its electrical connections, right, you know what I'm saying, that go into it, right, and most of these pumps, well pumps, are usually 230 volts, right, you know, single phase, right. Some of them, though, the larger pumps, right, require, you know, 240, 308, 440, some shit like that, 3-phase, but this one is a single phase, standard, you know, well pump, right. Now, it pumps it out along the line. You know what I'm saying? And right here, there's this little check thing, you know what I'm saying, wherever it's kind of, you know, implemented is, and the pressure, you know, gauge, right? And it flows into what this is called a diaphragm tank, a pressure tank, right? Now, the pressure tank, right, is, right, required for low demand use, you know what I'm saying, around the property, right? Plus, you know, it keeps the pressure of the well, you know, consistent, right? When it's pumping, you know, the gauge, when it's pumping, right, the gauge registers, you know, at how many psi that it's pumping at, you know what I'm saying? Right now it's not doing anything, it's just holding, right, because the pump's not pumping. The diaphragm tank's got, you know, like about this much water in it and this much air, and it keeps a constant amount of pressure, you know what I'm saying, for demand, right? This little thing with this electrical connections go over there to the fuse box, and yes, it's on a 30 amp fuse. These are the connections for the entire system, you know what I'm saying, the pump connections and everything else, you know what I'm saying, and this, yes, this is running on a 220 setup. We also have, you know what I'm saying, a heat lamp and a light receptacle, you know what I'm saying, to keep this room warm. There's also an extra set of sockets in case you need to do some work in here, you know what I'm saying, and as you can obviously see, right, this room is completely insulated as best as possibly can. We could probably use more, but this is good enough because it's been the same for like 35, 40 years. And you want to include, right, a thermometer so you know where you stand. Yes, it's 60 degrees in here, it's 41 outside. Now, these things here range in size, you know what I'm saying, from, you know, little, you know, 3, 4, 5, I think, gallon ones, you know what I'm saying, all the way up to the big giant industrial size, you know what I'm saying, 200-gallon diaphragm tank. They're reasonably, you know, priced. You need one of these for your system. You have to have a pressure tank. It works. That's the way it works, right? This is the filter. Now, normally, you know what I'm saying, filtered water is filtered water. But we're dealing with straight artesian water. The reason for the filter is many. And you guys, and it should be fairly obvious. It's filter out the dirt, you understand, the little bits of, you know, organic material that flows up from, you know, the ground inside, you know, right, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You need to, you know, change it periodically, you know, like once a year, right, you know what I'm saying, but, and you want to make sure that it's in line with the flow, and it's got the little red, you know, in emergency safety relief valve button on it, right? Don't just, you know, think you can take a, you know, air filter from a diesel truck and convert it into a water pump filter. You can't. These things are, once again, are reasonably priced, you understand, the whole system, this whole system right here, like 35, I think it was 38 years ago when they installed this system, right? It cost in the neighborhood of somewhere around $1,500, which in today's terms would be like around 3 or 4 grand. Right? You need this system. You got to have it. You know what I'm saying? Now let's go check out why. You know what I'm saying? Right? You know what I'm saying? Water is really important to you and your homestead. Okay, I'm standing halfway between the pump, the well shed, and the house. Alright? You see the corner of the house right there? That's where the water heater is and the inlet for the water to the house. Alright? Now, from where I'm standing, alright, in a straight line almost, alright, to right there, just below, alright, the red gas can, you can see the frost free. Right, sticking up right there for Mrs. Piggy's pen. Right now, there's 2 ways Jimmy could have done this. Okay, now, back in the day, I'm saying, when this was a working ranch, when Marlene and Jimmy were, younger, right? You know what I'm saying? They had pigs, they had a couple horses. They kept putting the llamas here from one of the neighbors for, a couple years. You know what I'm saying? And they took care of it. They had their business going. They had a little tire shop right here, a little automotive thing going. You know what I'm saying? They did really well on their property, right? Okay, but the reason for that is because Jimmy laid it out well. You know what I'm saying? The way he did it. Now this cross street right here, right, was for the animals, right? That's why it's the farthest one away from the house. You know what I'm saying? And most likely, you know what I'm saying, Jimmy, you know what I'm saying, when he ran the lines from the pump, right, he ran it straight into the corner of the house right there, the main feed, the big, 2-inch, 3-inch pipe or something like that, right? And then from there he branched off to the other frost trees around the yard. Now, it's fairly, fairly simple to figure out how he did it in the yard, you know what I'm saying, from the placement of the septic tank over there by the front fence. You know what I'm saying? Right? And it's because the septic tank's got to have water flow, right? You know what I'm saying? But this one here there's a reason why there's only one, you know what I'm saying? And there's isn't any over there, right? You see these tanks right here? Now I've made, a couple other videos, right, in the past, you know what I'm saying, containing water storage and why it was important, how to go about it, how to think about it and stuff like that. But these containers right here, right, are a homesteader's best friend right here. Because you can put just about any kind of liquid in these containers and it will contain it. And it won't leak out, it won't eat up the plastic or none of that shit. These things are rather expensive. They're about, even sitting here like this, not doing anything, they're still worth at least $400 a piece. So they are a sizable investment, but they're worth it. They're worth their value in their own weight and what they can do. What Jimmy used to do is why there's actually 6 of them at the yard, but there's 4 of them right here. Jimmy used to fill these up, right? And then with his little tractor over there, he'd winch it up onto the trailer, and he'd take it over there to the horse field, where the 2 horses were on that side of the property, that whole big old piece, right? And he'd fill up their trough with it, and he'd leave one of these over there, and he would continuously fill up the trough, right, from the tank until it was empty, and then he'd drag it back over here, or he'd have another one already full, and ready to take over there. Right, and plus, you know what I'm saying, right here you could always water Miss Piggy, and if Mr. Piggy needed some water, they'd just fill one up and drag it over there to his tank, over to his pan over there, for him and the llama. You know what I'm saying? And this is the main work area for the ranch part. This was the storage bin. This pen is built and designed for Miss Piggy, you know what I'm saying, where she had her little babies, you know what I'm saying, give her, afford her a little bit of protection from the blowing wind and the elements, where she had her little babies running around. You know what I'm saying? Now, water storage, this is a no-brainer, dude. If you got a couple of 2 or 3 of these, you could store your water, you know what I'm saying, or cistern, right? Some people, herb ships and all that stuff have built-in cisterns. Right here, you can set this up on the side of your house over there with a little drain pump that runs right in and collect the rainwater, right? There is an innumerable amount of ways, right, that you could use these storage containers, these tanks, around your property for things that you need to do, right? If you're good, Rhonda, you know what I'm saying? If you're out there in the fields, you know what I'm saying, growing your vegetables and stuff, you could put one of these in the back of a tractor, right, with a little nozzle sprayer. Right? You know what I'm saying? Water, you know what I'm saying? Your well pump is the most important thing on this entire adventure that you're setting out, because water is life, bro. You know what I'm saying? You see over there, that blue spot sticking up in front of the bush? That's one of the interior yard frost wreaths. Right? And now, this is how simple it is, right? When you have it set up right, to do something good for yourself and your homestead and your family. Okay, now, there's 2 different, you can see 2 different irrigation setups here. One is connected to this yellow hose, right? The yellow hose runs in under the bushes and it connects to the black feeder line that runs all the way, right? All the way. And you actually see where it loops around, because I built the fence and the gate and the trellis, you know what I'm saying? But it used to go all the way across over to where the sprinkler head is, right? Now, the second one is a hard PVC line that Jimmy used probably in the beginning, because the black line is the newest and it's the one that's, set up. Right now, from this feeder line that runs, yeah, you can see there's a lot of slack that runs, you know, through these, you know, blueberry, blackberry, you know, some kind of bushes, tree bushes, right? You know what I'm saying? Right here, I got all this open ground of the yard right here that they tried to grow grass. Well, Brian got this idea, you know what I'm saying? Since I have a continuous source of water, right? That about, oh, I don't know, from where the tree is to about 4 feet off of the fence this way, right? To about, oh, right there, and a line over to here, about right here, even with the frost free, you know what I'm saying? I could make me a square garden right here and feed every bit of it off of that feeder line right there. All I gotta do is just pull it back and run it this way across, and then tee off of it and go that way and go that way, right? Just 6 feet, right? And right here, this whole quarter of this big gigantic yard, right here, would be enough vegetables to feed us for the entire year. It would feed your entire family. And for those of you that are vegetarian and for vegans and stuff, right, dude, being able to cultivate a plot of ground this big right here, or, you know, for some people this small, right, you have no idea. You have no idea what those people over there on the other side of that little white fence are growing for their garden. Their garden is probably the size of the interior yard right here. Water. It's that simple. It's the most, this is crazy. It's the most destructive force within the confines of the known universe. But on the other side of that coin, you know what I'm saying? It's the most, it's life. It is one of the building blocks of the entire life of the universe. Think about it, right? Plot out and plan out, you know what I'm saying, the use of this valuable resource on your homestead, on your property, you know what I'm saying? So that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you know what I'm saying? It still works. It's still, you know, producing those things that you need to use it for. You know what I'm saying? And it sustains your life, and it makes you, you know, it makes the whole thing go. This is me, Brian. Just trying to, you know, give you guys some ideas and some insight into some of the stuff that you were going to come across when you decide to move out here to the country and live out here, you know, in a slower life, you know, slower life pace. You know what I'm saying? There's different things to think about, and there's other ways to do things, you know what I'm saying? But when you're working at this speed, because dude, there is a never-ending source of things to do. You just need to figure out which ones are important and make them priority. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Maybe other homesteaders need to know this stuff too. Thank you.